Bismillah. Allama Kashmiri rahmatullah alayhi. Is a name that perhaps in the latter part of the Alim course in the Torah Hadith class in particular, among the Kavir of Deoband, perhaps his name will be heard more than others. The number of times that his name would come in terms of quoting various details of the explanations, etc., is perhaps more than others. So he had been a very, very highly placed muhaddith, alim, among all of our Kabir. Once as a Mufti Kifayatullah Sahib rahmatullah alayhi, who was the Grand Mufti of India of the time. So Allama Kashmiri rahmatullah alayhi was his ustad. So he asked his students that what made him become so distinguished. There were many others also that were very capable and alhamdulillah had done tremendously, were very great ulama in their own right. But what distinguished Allama Anwar Shah Sahib rahmatullah alayhi to this point that he became what he became? So the students were quite familiar with the people that he was referring to, and in comparison Allama Sahib's position and status, everybody gave some thought. Somebody said something, whoever had known his life and had studied something about him. After he heard everybody out, now he's talking about somebody who he had seen very closely, who had known very closely. What he said thereafter is that what distinguished him above the rest, now outwardly it sounds like a very, very simple thing. He said the adab of the kitabs. Now, person reached such a high distinguished position, the adab of the kitabs. So this does not mean that the others did not have the adab of the kitabs. They all, mashallah, were in a time and place where these things were natural. These things everybody used to be very conscious about. What it refers to perhaps is that to the extent that he went to make the adab of the kitabs, the extra mile as they call it, that perhaps was way beyond everybody else. And those incidents that are mentioned about him, which are well known, that he would be making mutala and the footnotes, the hashiyas, up to now some of the older prints of India, Pakistan, etc., the hashiyas are in different directions, and sometimes the hashia and the footnotes at the top of the page is facing the opposite side. So now, while making mutala, one is the way that we would sometimes make mutala, that now when we start seeing the hashia and we see it's too long, say, okay, leave this one out. Something that is shorter, then maybe we'll read it. So he wasn't a person of that type. He would read perhaps every dot. So now the hashia and the footnote at the top of the page, which is facing the opposite side, to read it upside down is difficult. You want to understand it properly. So the simple, easy way to go about it was to turn the kitab around. But he wouldn't do that. He would wake up and go around and go to the opposite side, sit down, read it, and come back. Now in one sitting of mutala, that might have happened numerous times. Not just once off. And this would have been an everyday thing. But he didn't think it correct, though there was nothing impermissible about it. It was something within the limits of permissibility, and if technically a person thinks about it, then because it's written there in that manner, to read it nicely, you pick the kitab up and turn it, it wasn't against adab. But the extent of adab that he adopted was way beyond what was the level that others would adopt. He is quoted as having said also that I never ever made a kitab subservient to me, tabi to me. Meaning that, for example, I am lying down and I brought the kitab to me. I sat up to look into the kitab. So these were apparently very smaller things outwardly to us, but a person of that caliber, Mufti Kifayatullah Sahib rahmatullah alayhi, being the Grand Mufti of India of the time, he's saying that I believe that it was this extra mile that he went in terms of the adab of the kitabs that took him this far. Now that's the adab of the kitab. So likewise will go together with it all the other aspects, adab of the ustad, adab of the madrasa, adab of everything related to ilm. To the extent that the person will adopt this adab, to that extent it will take him forward. So this adab, compromising adab can become very, very dangerous, let alone becoming a person's downfall, meaning becoming a means of getting deprived. Adab can sometimes swing things the other way around, meaning lack of adab and disrespect. So disrespect is a very dangerous thing. And as far as respect itself is concerned, the more that a person fills in that respect and adab, the further it will take him ahead.
अल्लाह अल्लाह कैसा प्यारा नाम है, आशिकों का मीना और जाम है।